You know Vancouver for its incredible green spaces, right? Stanley Park, the seawall, they're world famous. Well, the very institution that has shaped those spaces for more than 100 years is now, believe it or not, fighting for its very existence. We're talking about Vancouver's totally unique and now very endangered Park Board.
Okay, so let's get right into it. For, get this, 135 years, an independently elected board has been in charge of Vancouver's parks. But now, that entire system is on the chopping block, and it's kicked off this massive debate about the future of the city's most loved public spaces.
And this challenge is coming right from the top. Vancouver's mayor, Ken Sim, has made his position crystal clear. He's basically saying the board is inefficient, it's broken, and it's time for a radical change. So this really sets up the two sides of the fight, doesn't it? You've got these two totally different visions for how the city's green soul should be run. On one side, you have the argument to abolish the board, bring it all under city council, and make things more efficient. And on the other, you have people saying, whoa, hold on a second. That independence is the only thing protecting our parks from short-term politics and pressure from developers. But to really understand this fight, you gotta go back, way back. And the origin story of this park board, well, it's probably not what you're expecting. Okay, so check this out, because it's kind of ironic. Back in 1888, the whole idea for a park committee to manage Stanley Park was pushed by a real estate agent, and his goal? To use a beautiful park to drive up property values. But by 1890, that same committee had turned into a fully independent, elected body that would pretty quickly find itself pushing back against those exact kinds of outside interests. And this is what makes it so different. Seriously, no other city in Canada has a separately elected group just for parks. This means they get their mandate, their power, directly from the voters, separate from the mayor and the city council. It's a truly unique feature of how Vancouver is run.
So what has all this independence actually gotten the city? Well, supporters will point to this incredible legacy of huge, ambitious projects that basically define Vancouver today, projects that took generations to complete.
Just take a look at this number. 63 years. What on earth could possibly take that long to build? While the Stanley Park seawall, that's what. It was started way back in 1917 and wasn't finished until 1980. Or think about the English Bay waterfront. Creating the park we know today meant buying up properties for over 80 years, and this is the heart of the argument to keep the board. Supporters say a regular city council, always worried about the next election and shifting priorities, could never, ever maintain that kind of long-term focus.
Okay, so we've talked history and the big, huge projects, but now let's bring it down to a personal level. How does this board's power actually affect your day-to-day life when you go to a park?
This seal here, it isn't just for decoration. Because it's an independent body, the park board has the power to create and enforce its own rulebook, its own set of bylaws. And that's where its power becomes really tangible in every single park.
And we're not talking about some abstract rules here. They shape everything. You know, the simple pleasure of having a drink with friends on a summer evening or finding a place for your dog to run around off-leash. Those experiences are a direct result of decisions made by these elected park commissioners.
Take a look at this. This is a map, straight from the official bylaws for Trout Lake Park. It shows, with incredible precision, the exact zones where you're allowed to drink alcohol. This is the kind of granular, detailed control the park board has. It's not just a suggestion, it's the law of the park.
And that rulebook covers a huge range of things, everything from serious conservation stuff like not feeding coyotes to the historic bylaw that ended the practice of keeping whales and dolphins at the aquarium. They even have to tackle incredibly complex social issues, like setting the specific rules for where and when temporary shelters for homeless people can be set up in parks. Which brings us right back to the central question that's driving this entire debate. After 135 years, is this unique system still the best way to run Vancouver's parks?
So let's just break down the core arguments one more time. The people who want to abolish the board say the system is broken, it creates political fights with city council, and it just adds unnecessary bureaucracy. But those who want to keep it say its independence is like a firewall against developer pressure, it's what makes those epic, long-term projects possible, and it represents a really important direct form of democracy. Some even say it's a great training ground for future politicians.
And this is no small operation we're talking about. The board manages a budget of nearly $169 million from the city. But what's really fascinating is that it also generates over $78 million of its own revenue from things like golf courses, community center programs, and parking fees.
So, as this debate really heats up, it all comes down to a few fundamental questions. And if you're someone who might want to speak up on this issue, maybe at a town hall or a meeting, these are the core points you'd really want to think about.
First, how much does history matter? Is this 135-year-old tradition of an independent park board a precious legacy that has made this city better? Or is it just an outdated way of doing things that's now holding Vancouver back?
Second, it's really a question of focus. Can one city council that's already wrestling with massive issues like the housing crisis and transit really give our parks the dedicated, long-term attention they need? Or would parks just end up getting lost in the shuffle?
And finally, this is the big one. What do we value more? Is the goal a streamlined, efficient system where one central group makes decisions quickly? Or is there real value in a system that has more direct, grassroots democracy, even if it's sometimes a little messier? That's the balance at the heart of the fight for Vancouver's soul.